48-hour art check, round something in the 60s.
We all forgot.
I have no idea.
Boom. All right.
So,
Yeah.
it's round something, but
Yes.
65 probably. I don't know. Has it been...
I think this is the reaction to people who've been at conferences that are all inspiring and then had to play catch up afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, what day is it?
Oh man.
It's Friday.
Yeah, and then like I'm having this weird thing where I am not getting enough sleep and then I'm getting too much sleep and my body doesn't know what to do because like 2 or 3 days ago, I laid down for a nap at 8 o'clock at night and like slept for 11 hours. Yeah. And then the next day, because I slept so much, I didn't get enough sleep. And so I'm like this weird pendulum of like sleep debt being paid in and cashed out. It's just odd. So.
No, totally. I think it is one of those things where it's like, it's not like you really catch up. You know, it's like you miss that sleep. It just never really comes back.
I think
what does happen after that long nap is like the next day, at least my brain will just be like, you know what's a good idea? Going to bed at the exact same weird time you did last time and then sleeping for unusually long hours. I'm like, what did I just condition myself to do?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. So I'm still recovering from that. But, yeah. Anyway.
Right. So we were going to talk about boring speakers. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah, so we both just went to conferences, and it's interesting the way people present themselves, and I'm not sure... All of my friends and most of my relatives make fun of me for being the least excitable person they know. Like, my daughter will literally say, Dad, I was really disappointed in your reaction until I remembered that it was you. And the fact that you, like, looked up and spoke is, like, you being excited. So, I don't even know if I'm, like, allowed to talk about this, but it's interesting. It's interesting to me. I think you can be boring and still be super engaging. That doesn't make any sense. But you can. It's not like an energy thing. Like, you don't have to be, like, clownish. But there are presenters who it's like, do you want to be here? Or
yeah, agreed.
Or they never speak to another person, and so the first time that they speak to any human being, because they've been in the basement programming incredible, amazing things, is in front of a crowd of like 200 people. That's their first human engagement that month.
That's pretty much what Sneaks is like at Adobe Max. It's this segment for people who are watching who may not have gone, where like Adobe announces all this amazing like stuff. A lot of it's like automated, crazy technology that's going to take your job. And these are the guys who like, they're the heads of those projects, and their presentations are beyond hilarious because it's like, it's just, you know, people who clearly do coding all day. I think, you know, it's interesting because you say you don't have like emotion or whatever, but I think when you're engaged in a topic, it's like the way that you're using your voice does communicate a lot. So it's like that would keep me awake is all I'm saying. Whereas like I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get in the habit of like tearing down what somebody built up.
Right. Yeah.
But I will say I sat through a conference, one of the most, like, by all means should have been one of the most incredible people to hear speak because of their laurels, and they're a team leader. So I'm like, okay, they must be pretty good at speaking because they got to lead people.
Right.
And they get up there and say everything interesting about themselves with like the smallest mode of emotion, no fluctuation in the tone of their voice.
Yeah.
And so it's like, imagine meeting somebody who's like telling, like maybe they just got hit by a car and they're recounting the story. That's like the story of the day. If you just got hit by a car, that's a great little juicy tidbit you could tell. And they tell you it, and by all means, even the flow of the storytelling is not bad, but just the tone never changes. It's like, and you wouldn't believe it. The guy rear-ended me. It was insanely crazy. You know what I mean? It's an interesting thing that can happen with somebody who, by all means, should, like, with the laurels they have and stuff like that, be a really engaging, interesting presenter.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think on the flip side of that, you also have people who have studied the craft of speaking, and they lower their voice at specific times, and then they raise their voice when they want to get everybody excited, and they kind of like speed things up and go really fast, and then slow down to make it feel poignant. And I hate that almost as much as somebody who is like, you know, really bad at. I think it comes down to probably what it always comes down to with us is like authenticity and reality. Like the fact that
agreed.
If you're legitimately excited and believe what you're saying and care about who you're talking to, it's going to come across, even if you're like me and like never have any. I will say this. I'm discovering this. I'm remembering when I first got married. My wife comes from a family, and she's sitting behind my green screen, so she's hearing me say this. But my wife comes from a family who really enjoys food more than any group of people I've ever met or seen, including those people on TV that are paid to talk about food. You're disagreeing with that?
You haven't seen many food shows.
I haven't seen many food shows. Okay. But I will say this. There is an entire Marco Polo where they are really excited about what they're eating and show each other what they're eating all the time, which is great, right? They're into it. It's great. And they're all very into it. I was raised by my mom, who's a lovely woman whom I love, but not a cook. She did it dedicated every night. But, yeah. So when my wife first started like cooking stuff, she was expecting a reaction akin to what she grew up with, which is, you know, this like bursting of exuberance. And for me, food is the thing that makes me not hungry anymore. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So my reaction was, yeah, it's good. It's great. And that was a huge problem beginning in our marriage. She thought that I hated a huge portion of her life and what she was about. Anyway.
It is funny, like those communication style things take a while, like a little bit of time to kind of get used to and adjust to. Because I'd say my wife and I are like the polar opposite, where I'll just be like, I just had this thing happen. I'm so excited. And she'll be like, cool.
That's
and
great.
Like, that's, by that, she's like, she actually is expressing that she's excited. It's just a different way. Because I'm like the guy who's like, was yelling at the table and stuff to get attention. In my house, because we all have these like ridiculously loud voices, and so it's just like different styles and stuff, Whereas I think because she had a twin, it's like they'd probably like just be like whispering to each other, and you know what I mean, like it's not like you'd have to be like, I'm here, So it's a different. It's funny how there's different modes, but I think. The thing that always transcends when you're watching something is if somebody's really passionate about it. I think that's the trick of like a really good comedian or like a really professional speech giver is like somebody who can deliver a speech that they've done 50 times, but every time sounds authentically and feels authentically like hyped and excited or hilarious, Even if it's planned out, I think you can still have that go through. For me, I've never been good at over planning, like with tons of bullet points and stuff. And I've had to give a couple like best man speeches and stuff like that. In those cases, since I ramble, I would have notes. But it's like, but I mean, at least having a beat like that you want to hit, I think is a good way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like speak up. And if you're not going to speak up, like have a mic. Like,
right.
If you don't have a mic.
I don't know, because I've seen people even super socially awkward people. One of my favorite comedians is Stephen Wright. Have you seen that guy? Mm-hmm. Phenomenal. And I don't know how he would order a sandwich at a deli because he's so socially awkward that like I don't know how he communicates with other people. But he actually makes that work for him. So I don't even think it's like a difference between somebody who is, charismatic or an introvert or extrovert or whatever. I think it's really just like you actually care about what you're saying. You're like in the moment and saying it, and you've considered like how your audience is going to receive it somehow. For example,
exactly,
like projecting or a microphone or something like that. So.
Yeah, totally. And like with some people, like I don't know if they're more interested in kind of the thing they're saying, but they aren't kind of gauging the reaction of the person they're saying it to, which is a tough way to converse or even like listen to a speaker. But I agree with you, like just to kind of cap it off, I think there is that other problem of the guy who's like, I think you should use your hands when you speak.
Yeah.
Because it illustrates your point. But I think when they get too rehearsed and kind of business owner-ish, where it's like each time I'm making a point, I'm going to move my hand in certain ways that communicate. Like right now, I'm going to communicate openness. Like that's where it starts feeling like a little weird and kind of pseudo-religious. Like when it's happening, where you're like, ooh, I'm like, where is this? So I agree. I think like there's the other factor where it's a little too polished, and then it sounds like that conversation we've had about punk and stuff. So you want to dive into the?
I do. Yeah, I do. I have one really good example. I was talking to a student today, who I didn't know was somebody who watched my videos, and I can't remember how we got on this topic, but she said my favorite videos are the ones where you label the video, "Don't watch this video." And I said, why? Because I have several where I was doing like the 100 days or Stickerson or something. And I'm either like really mad or tired or whatever. And she's like, they're the most real, when you're like pissed off and raging or you're like falling asleep. She goes, I don't know. I just like those a lot more than the other ones. And I was like, oh, good. So I don't know. There's something there. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but oh, my thing is switching. There we go. Okay, do you want to start?
Sure. So I have not gotten tons done because like you kind of pay for those business days apparently when you get back because you're basically making up for lost time. But I did get my rough panel layout done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to basically try to pencil like the first, like do rough pencils for at least one panel before calling it tonight. But I don't know if that'll happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'll say by the next art check, I should have like 2 pencils. I'd
cool.
say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always think it's interesting that people think that you take vacation from work, but you just actually work the same amount of time, just before or after you go on. You're like gone. Like I remember like taking a week off, and I would just work like 60 hours the week before and then 60 hours the week after. Like there wasn't really a week off. It was just I pushed those 20 hours in either direction.
Oh man, I would complain about that when you're an art director, but I actually think just knowing so many teachers and having taught, I think it's much worse when you're a teacher, the prep you have to do just to leave for a week during or even a day, honestly, because you have to kind of prep it for all these different sessions,
right,
and make sure that they're going to get the material, and that you don't leave the person who's covering your class in the lurch where they're like, let's watch a movie or something, because especially in college, because they're paying for it, so it's come on, we gotta. So that prep time's insane, man.
Yeah.
Credit to you, sir, for being able to vacation during that, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Then the in between semesters is pretty awesome. Yeah. So for me, I got I can't remember which ones. I think Dwight as Superman, Darth Animal, and Asajj Ventress as Peter Pan. I think those are the ones I've done in the last couple days. But is my thing not working? My thing's not working. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's been really slow going. But it's turning out all right. I'm a little behind, but I think I'm going to be able to catch up. But yeah.
I think the thing I like about that piece is just kind of seeing the fact that you're taking your time with it, and it's gradually just looking cooler and cooler, like the more you add in there.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I think it's just a testament to all the pre-work you did on it, because it really it starts to come to life when you see all the bones of it kind of getting filled in.
Right.
And that'll really have, I think, once you have the full page full, I think it's going to be pretty a pretty good, like, kind of showstopper type thing.
Yeah.
Just for, like, how did you do that crowd scene,
Right. I think it will be really good for that. I also am annoyed that it's going to take me over a month to finish. But part of that is just I'm doing it for Inktober, because I could have finished it already. But it's good that I'm doing it for Inktober, because it's been a pretty crazy month, like, health-wise and stuff. So yeah. How about challenges?
So challenges, so I got a throat thing again, which is like, I think it's just because my son brings home these sicknesses, and then I'll read him a story at night, and then the next day I'm like, why is my nose all runny and I sound like my kid did? Oh, because he keeps getting these little colds from kids at school, and then I get them. So that's the struggle, and then just catching up at work and trying to kind of actually, like, tonight I'm going to aim to get some solid rest, because I think that'll help.
Cool. Yeah, and for me, just more of the same. I'm still on all that stuff. It's still annoying. I'm still tired all the time. But yeah, it's good. I don't really have any. There's no groundbreaking challenges or anything the last little while. And I will say, I realized the other day.
Nothing crazy, just a weird, crazy ear infection that's going to last a month.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day. They're like, I was like, man, I'm tired all the time lately. This sucks. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I've had 3 different abscesses in my face. They're like, what? Like, yeah, one in each ear, and then one in the left side of my nose. And then they were shocked enough to where I was like, it's become really mundane for me now, but it's actually a big deal. So, but anyway, I don't know. I feel like as we age, like if we're still doing this in 10 years, it's the challenge section is just going to be us complaining about being old. I don't know. I'm still old, and everything still hurts.
What's going on? Oi, my back, my leg, my arm, my nose, like everything hurts. Yeah. That's a fair point. Scott in the chat said he loves Darth Animal.
Oh,
Why
cool.
are you in the chat, Scott? Next time you need to be on 48
the show
hours.
with us. I think I did figure out how to have a third person, so I think we could do it. It won't be split screen, but I'm pretty sure we could do it. Yeah. So plans.
So plans for me are to, like I said before, just kind of do 2 panels. I'd prefer to do 3, like just rough pencils. But I do have a friend who is coming from, like, Oklahoma to do a lecture, like 2 hours away, but in California, and I haven't seen him in a while, and it's about a really good book, so I'm going to go to that. So you guys, if you're in California, should go to Alan Noble's lecture, and I don't remember where it is, but you can just look it up, Alan Noble.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, art is good. And I'm tired. What's the next? What is your plan, sir?
My plans are, I can't remember. More characters. Oh yeah, I had to do Dwight and Ventress before I could do Optimus. So I'm gonna do Optimus, and he's a little bit more technical than the rest because he's like a mech robot. I guess he's not technically a mech because he's not piloted, but he's like a robot guy. So lots of straight lines and stuff, which isn't my forte. So I'll get that one done, and then probably like the Lorax as the Tick. And I might even throw in like Cuphead Koopa and Valerie from Josie and the Pussycats as Psylocke. So we'll see which one of those we're going to do, but it sounds so ridiculous saying it out loud.
I love the crossovers, and I think it's going to make that end kind of bit like even more valuable It's gonna be good. You're gonna get two audiences with it, and both will be hilarious. Like
Right.
those who get it will be hilarious. Those who don't get it will be twice as hilarious. It's great.
The frustrating thing is I'm getting way more response and comments on Instagram than I've ever gotten. People are like, "This is my favorite thing you've ever done," and I'm like, I can't tell if you get it or not. But cool, thanks.
Well, to execute, you're doing it right though. I think we mentioned it when you were starting it, but I was saying like, it's like, I think the thing that's so funny about like Monty Python and the Holy Grail is that it's like very authentic.
Yeah.
It's like just the costuming and all of that is like absurd.
Yeah.
So and it's pretty well lit. It's actually a pretty well shot movie.
Right.
And it's actually kind of true to the original material, weirdly enough.
Yeah. If you read the Arthurian legend, it's not far off.
Yeah, but they go so just like balls out with the execution that it makes it 20 times funnier.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if it were them in like, just really cheap costumes and stuff, it would still be, the bits would still be funny, but they just wouldn't ring the same way as like, satire's got to be pretty like boom, like close, so
yeah.
I think you're on a roll. That's good.
I hope so.
And it does look cool. It looks cool. I think crowd scenes like that with that amount of work and pre-work, it looks good, and it looks like maybe you're leveling up on the crowd scene thing, because you were talking about not doing a lot of crowd scenes.
I've never done a crowd scene.
So there you go.
Yeah. So this is my virgin crowd scene. So
now you know.
Yeah.
And the next one will be quicker.
Right. Hopefully. And I won't be doing it for Inktober, where I'm trying to pace myself. So, but yeah. But I have noticed that I have not played a video game on Steam since I started this poster. I think most of that is because I'm usually asleep when I get home from work. But there's an accomplishment of some kind, I guess. I don't know.
That's pretty huge. That just means you're working or busy.
Unconscious, most of the time. When I would be playing video games, I'm napping. So, yeah. I
kind of like that idea too.
Right.
That sounds like good. Like it's like you need that fuel. You got a very young child to like to keep you up at weird hours, so that'll help.
Yeah.
Along the way.
So.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Should we wrap it then?
Yeah, let's wrap it. I will say this. Big changes coming to the 48-hour art check. I keep forgetting to say this during the show. Dang it. I need like a little note. But we are going to be changing some things up. Some fairly major changes for us. We're planning on having this thing be bigger than the two of us. And there are people that are currently doing either the 48-hour or the 168, and we're going to have a place for everybody to come together for that. And so stay tuned, and if you haven't subscribed and hit that bell, do that, because we want to make sure that we bring everybody with us, because we're going to start a new YouTube channel, and the new YouTube channel will have all the new content, and we're really going to try to get it going. But we're limited because you don't have certain abilities with a new YouTube channel until you have a certain number of subscribers. So we're hoping that all of you guys come with us as we transition. Our channels are going to stay the same. So I'll still be doing Illo Talk, and Josh will be still doing his channel. Yeah. And we will still be going live on our channels, but the videos after the fact will be on this new channel. So when that new channel is ready, which is not yet, we will ask you guys to subscribe to it, and hopefully you will, because that'll be cool. And
to also, like, when you have subscribed to it, like share if you're doing it as well and we're not aware of it. Like we mentioned a few, but that, like, if somebody's doing it, we're probably going to, I'm not sure yet, but probably implement kind of like a playlist and stuff as well, so that it'll kind of be like the hub to find all this stuff.
Yeah,
so like Voltron, we will combine our forces and take over the world.
Yes. And so if you're doing one, our intention is to build something that's big enough that drives traffic to you. So people will be coming to this channel to be able to get really good content topics. We're going to be doing podcasts. We're considering cutting up some of these videos so that you don't have kind of all the stuff before and after the topic and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit more relevant to a lot of people. Anyway, long story short, I hope it works out. And if you haven't started either a 48-hour art check or some sort of art check where you're accountable to another person, I would recommend doing that because we will help promote you as best we can. And having said that, check out No Saboteurs, who licensed the intro music for us, and they're at facebook.com/NoSaboteurs. And if you want to look at Josh Kimball's stuff, you can go to quarterlystories.com. And also look him up on Tapas. And there's things you can do on Tapas like liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that jazz that really help that comic out. You can always find my stuff at kuretake.com. And I will be finishing this up and posting it, doing daily things on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I've got I forgot to mention this in the plans, but I've got a video that's going to be coming out soon with some of the time-lapse drawings of what I've been doing. And so check all those things out, all the things. And
yes.
We will see you guys. Oh, what?
Wait. Oh, there was one last thing. I want to know what you like. I love the community we're building, and it just dawned on me. We were talking about like bad speakers, and I'd love to hear your stories of bad speakers or good speakers, and kind of share them because, like, I think it's hilarious, especially to me. Just it's always fascinating when it's somebody by all means who's telling a story that should be the most exciting thing in the world, and it's so dully presented that you're like, how like you're talking about like, anyhow. So yeah, let us know, share it in the chats, and
yeah. And any students or people who often listen to somebody speak, I'm also interested in pet peeves. Like I always hate it when whatever happens when somebody's, because you as a student you've got to listen basically to like 20 hours a week of people talking at you. So they're like professional listeners. Anyway, so yeah. All right. We will catch you guys later, and have a good weekend.